Oh, then you can also, we are live. If you go to the right-hand column, you can see the live comments if you want, or you could just look at your screen as it is. It's up to you.
Okay.
So here shortly, we'll start with our Q&A. Everything in the Army, hurry up and wait. Is it still raining or is it sleeting out there?
No, it stopped shining now. Probably got a couple of rainbows out there.
Nice. All right, it looks like, oh, we're up. Okay. Are you guys ready? Hopefully everybody's ready for this. All right, Facebook and our other platforms. Hopefully we are streaming live on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our main platform is going to be Facebook. So we are going live on the Paso Robles Army Recruiting Station. So as a reminder to our audience, if you have a question about this unique job skills or about Staff Sergeant Momber job and what he does or his personal life, feel free to drop in a question and we'll get it answered as soon as possible. But thank you for everybody for joining us for our next segment of Soldier of the Hour. We have Staff Sergeant Joshua Momber. He originated from Columbus, Ohio, but he is stationed at Fort Wainwright, Alaska. How's the weather over there?
Oh, it's great. It's actually great right now.
So as for our people who have been watching our broadcasts, this is a Soldier of the Hour. Pretty much for the next hour, we're going to talk about you and your job. So you're going to tell us your highlights, everything the Army's done for you or you've done in the Army. You're going to tell us the truth. Do you like your job? What is the things in your job that you wish you could do? Anything, you know, this is unscripted. We want to know. So if you can, tell us a quick background on who you are and your job.
Yeah, my name's Josh Momber, as you had already stated. I'm from Michigan. I was born in Ohio, but I claim Michigan as my home record. So
Michigan.
Go Grand Rapids. Go Spartans. But I grew up on an apple farm. My dad is an electrical engineer. My mom's a nurse, and just about everybody else in my family, we've got a lot of people that have served. I'm the only one who decided to go enlisted. So went down that avenue, went to college for a little bit, decided that wasn't for me. And then later on in my Army career, I realized it's going to be for me anyways. So enlisted in 2004, went to basic at Fort Jackson. Fort Jackson was pretty fun. Yeah, relaxing Jacksons, that's what they say. Hopefully you like climbing hills and sand. For anybody who's worried about basic's not that hard if you know what you're doing. After basic training, I went to Fort Eustis, Virginia, where I trained for right around 6 to 7 months, and I was awarded my MOS, which is my current job that I have, which is 15 Yankee, which is a Armament, Avionics, and electronic system repair for the AH-64 Delta Apache helicopter.
Is that what's behind you?
We spend a lot of, yeah, there's a picture of it right behind me, right there.
Wow, that's impressive helicopter.
Yeah, that was a picture we got. That was on our, I think, second deployment to Iraq for that one. So spent 6 months of training there. It was very intense. You're going to be, it's more concentrated on book smarts. You're going to have to really, really step it up. After you get done with that, then I shipped out to Fort Hood, where I was supposed to eventually go to Germany, but that's one of the ones where the Army got me. They reflagged us as 4227 when we got there, and that's when we went under first cav, which turns out was a real good thing. I was there for 11 years with 4 deployments there. So
wow.
Under my time at Fort Hood, I was a maintainer. I was also a section sergeant, squad leader. I've done a lot of different jobs. Fort Hood's actually, well, people will tell you Fort Hood's not the great. Texas is pretty awesome, but
I was there.
Fort Hood's pretty fun. Oh yeah, Fort Hood. I liked it, but after 11 years there, you kind of grow to like things that maybe other people don't like.
Mhm.
So after Fort Hood, we're there at Fort Hood, went on 4 deployments. I went to Iraq twice. I've been to Afghanistan and Kuwait, if you want to consider that a deployment. Most people who are in will not consider Kuwait a deployment. As a matter of fact, most of the people that went with us and that was their first deployment will say, you didn't really deploy. From there, I was actually dropping my recruiting. It's hilarious. From there, I went to drop my recruiting packet, and then the Army got me on April 1st. So on April 1st, they told me, "Hey, you got orders to go to Fort Eustis to be instructor." I was like, "That's a nice joke, right?" No, you're going. Tried everything I could to get out of it because I didn't want to go be an instructor. Then I was actually a very good. I'd rather have been a recruiter because I like talking to people. But
all right, you direct. You
honestly,
heard
yeah, maybe I'll go from here. But when I got to Fort Eustis, that's when I became an instructor, and that was actually a very good blessing in disguise because you get to educate and you get to train up all these new soldiers, and you get to mold them into the people that you want them to be, or the maintainers you want them to be. So that aspect of it was very fulfilling. At Fort Eustis, I also trained everybody. I went all over the Army, training people on the new Echo model Apaches that we have, including help write the program. So that aspect of it is really fulfilling. You get to sit there, get to train everybody on it. Then I got to travel TDY all over the place. The Army took me some really cool places when I did that one. That was a lot of fun we had there. On top of that, I also trained ALC, which those who don't really know what that is the when you go from being a sergeant to a staff sergeant, you have to go to this school, and they train you to be a staff sergeant. So I was one of the instructors that actually did the leadership school. Mm-hmm. That was another fulfilling one. I got to see people come through, and people in my MOS, guys that I knew, soldiers I had, that I got promoted. I got made sure they got promoted to 5, and then they'd come back through ALC, and I got to train them up again, ask them how things were going on. That was a 3-year stint there. And then they sent me to Alaska. And I wouldn't say they sent me to Alaska. I requested it. I love it up here. I get to bear hunt. I get to hunt moose. I get to hunt caribou. I get to go spend time in the outdoors, take my kids fishing. You get almost 24 hours of light up here, which is a little hard for people sleeping. But when I first got up here, they sent me straight to a rotation in Korea. I didn't think I was going to like that one. And turns out 5 months in Korea was awesome. I got to experience it, got to go experience the culture, see a lot of different things. And that's one of the best parts. You know, Hanseo, and they have a lot of Kamsamida, Bali Bali. So it's
that means hurry
Korea
up.
was a Korea. Oh, you've been to Korea too?
Yes, I did a year in Korea.
It's fun, but I don't know if I'd want to do a year there. But it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to be had. You can get in a lot of trouble if you don't know watch out what you're doing. So Korea's fun.
That was my first.
And then I came back here.
And I got
lost. Your first duty station?
I got lost coming from the airport.
Oh, that happens.
In processing. I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh, one of my buddies over there, he had a girlfriend over there, and if it weren't for her understanding anything, I would have ended up all over the place because of that train station. I just don't understand how to read it.
I just follow the colors.
And then now, yeah. So I got here, and they put me as the Armament Section Sergeant, which is for 24 Apaches. I maintained the armament, avionics, and the electronic system for all that. So I had 32 guys underneath me at the time, a bunch of NCOs, and we train and maintain and fix the aircraft, which that was fun. Got back, they're like, "You're doing a great job. We're going to send you to headquarters platoon," and that's where I'm at now. I'm in charge of headquarters platoon sergeant, and I'm in charge of the technical inspector shop, the production control shop, tech supply shop, the orderly room, and supply. So a lot of fun to be had with those people too.
Wow.
That's where I'm at now, Dad.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's great. I mean, from what you've done so far, it sounds extraordinary. I mean, you've done a lot from other people I've heard, doing in my job. So I got a couple questions I want to ask you, and then for everybody who is watching us live, again, if you have a question about any phases, we'll try to not use so much Army lingo. So if we say like AIT, we'll say Advanced Individual Training. We'll try to say what it is that we're using an acronym for, but really the military has its own language. Anyways, leave your comments below and we will answer them. I have some pre-questions throughout the week for you, Sergeant, that's people left behind and they're curious and they may or may not jump on here live. So we'll still have those questions answered for them. So I'm curious, you said that you already had 1 year of college. How did you pay for it? Did your parents pay for it or did you have a job?
Before I came in the Army, I had a scholarship. So
okay. And college just wasn't for you?
Scholarship. College was, I wasn't mature enough at the time to go and handle college and not have fun at the same time while I was there. So gotcha. I like to party a little bit too much when I was there. So
now for you to have your job, you have to be pretty smart in the military or test really well for the job that you have.
Yes.
It's a 110 GT score.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you can get in with other than a 110 GT score. People all the time come over and switch MOSs or switch jobs. So they'll go in and be a wheeled vehicle mechanic, and then they'll switch over and come into aviation with a waiver, which isn't hard. They also have, after you're already in, they have GT improvement scores. Mm-hmm. So if you're initially coming in and you think that you're locked in to that job forever, no, you can change jobs at any time you want. Well, almost any time. When you make it to my rank and in your rank, you're not changing jobs at that point.
It's a little bit more tedious with paperwork, but it's really doable, especially if you really want that job. Okay, so college wasn't your thing, and then you said that you're the first one in your family to go enlisted. So enlisted is a non-commissioned officer versus a officer, which you're a commissioned officer. So what made you go to be enlisted versus following everybody else's path?
Well, I was having trouble at home. I had a very good home life. I just was a bit of I was a wild child. So I went off and I looked at it, and my family was like, you need to join the Army. You need to get some structure and development in your life. And so I did that. I looked at all my cousins. They all went to West Point, which is the academy for officers. Yeah. So I did. They went that route. I went the enlisted side route. And actually, I went into the recruiter office. I came right into the recruiter office. I was like, I want to join, and I want to work on Apaches. And my intent was eventually to switch over and fly the Apache. Somewhere along the line in my career, I decided I didn't want to fly them anymore because working on them was just fine with me. But I went into the recruiter's office. They kind of laughed at me a little bit. They're like, all right, we got to see if you're smart enough to test this. So I took my ASFAB, which is the test that you make everybody take when you get there. I got done with the test in Lansing, Michigan, and that's when my recruiter called me back up, and he goes, so what job do you want? Because I scored high. I scored exceptionally high. Almost aced it. So that opened up a lot of avenues for me to go ahead and pick the job that I wanted. So I went in and said I want Apaches, and that's where they said, okay, here we go. They offered me a couple SF jobs for communication and everything else. I was like, no, I want Apaches. So went in and chose Apaches, and then 3 months later, I shipped off to basic.
Did you get a bonus with your contract?
Oh, yes. So I ended up with $72,000 for extra for college on top of my GI Bill. And then they weren't, which is unheard of for you to get bonuses at the time in my MOS. Mm-hmm. And then because I scored so high, you'll get more bonuses the higher you score.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, $3,000, which was awarded to me after I graduated AIT.
Nice.
So,
How old were you?
and then on top of that, I am 36 years old.
No,
so
when you enlisted.
The good part about, huh?
When you enlisted.
Well, when I enlisted, I was 20.
20, okay.
So I'll be 40 when I get out. So it was nice. I had a couple years of partying, and then I came in the Army, and it gave me more structure. And say that the partying goes away once you're in the Army yeah.
I don't know. I've been seeing some infantry, man. They party, and I mean, they party hard.
Those guys party real hard.
So for your job, so you picked out, this is what you want to be as your job. Did you do any research? Like, what kind of made you want this job versus any other job in the military?
No, I kind of want, since a kid, I liked helicopters. Since a kid, my uncle, who was a pilot, he told me I was crazy for it, because he's a commercial pilot after he joined the Army, and he goes, you just want to, and that thing flies like a homesick brick, and he still to this day gives me a hard time. He's like, those things aren't supposed to fly. They defy all logic. But I went in and I was like, I want to work on Apaches. I didn't know that there's two jobs or two MOSs that work on Apaches. There's actually a lot more than that. If you get into your other jobs that repair airframe and everything else, there's different jobs, but they're not Apache specific. I wanted Apaches. So there's two MOSs that'll be specific to Apaches, and that is your 15 Yankees, which they call us Spark Chasers, because they call us Spark Chasers and nerds, because we're the ones who troubleshoot the entire system. And then you've got your 15 Romeos, which we call them window lickers, because all they do is clean windows. But they're honestly, we give them a hard time, but both MOSs get along very well with each other. And they're more on the mechanic and crew chief side, whereas we are the support for the entire battalion. There'll be a support for a specific company of 8 people. They do have different roles and aspects that they can go to, but though between those two jobs, I looked at it and I go, I like guns, I like electronics, and I like Apaches. So it fit.
Worked out.
So that's why I picked it.
Worked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was fun time.
Obviously, you're a very intelligent man. You know, you mentioned that basic training was a joke. Why do you say that? How was it too easy for you at the time? Was it cakewalk? Were you prepared?
It was. If you are athletic at all, if you played sports at all, you're probably going to be perfectly fine in basic. All you have to do is listen to them, be in the right place, right time, right uniform. Mm-hmm. Just do what they tell you to do. There are 2 rules of thumbs that there's 2 rules of thumb that people will tell you need to do when you go to basic. You can either fly under the radar or you fly over the radar. And well, I'm not a small guy, and I'm also got a unique last name, so flying under the radar was not an option for me. So I had to step up, do what they told me to do. But it's you just don't worry about if you're going off to basic, don't worry. It's not like the movies. It's nothing like that. Your drill instructors, majority of the time, they aren't going to, first couple days, yes. The first week they're going to yell at you. Beyond that, they're there to educate you and train you. They aren't going to yell the whole time, because yelling is not going to help you learn. Mm-hmm. They want you to learn.
Just sit down.
So they'll if they see that you're not getting it, a lot of times they'll pull you off to the side and give you a little bit of training and try to give you some motivation. They're not there to do that or to bring you down. They are there to give you purpose, direction, and motivation. They are there to show you how to do it, and they're there to get you on the right path. Some of my real good buddies have gone drill and come back from the trail, and what we call a trail is when a drill sergeant goes and be a drill for a couple of years, and then they come back. The drill sergeant thing, they call that trail. So they love it, because they also get to mold soldiers into what they think soldiers should be, and what the Army thinks they should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So AIT was a breeze for you. It's very successful. and then you had to fly to a new location for your AIT, your advanced individual training, or was it at the same?
Yes,
location?
actually. So after advanced individual training, we went to Fort Eustis, and Fort Eustis from Jackson is not that far, so they bussed us up there. And during that time, the bus ride up there, I remember that being rather confusing because people had told me you're going to get time off between basic and AIT, go see your family and everything else. No, that does not happen. You go straight to AIT. And that was on my birthday, was the day that I actually went up there. So my now ex-wife, and she tried to get down there, and that did not help us out at the time. We were engaged to get married. And so we bussed up to AIT, but AIT, I'm not saying it's not a breeze, but it's not as hard as everybody thinks it is. The thing that makes it hard is honestly people to your left and your right.
Mm-hmm. So
your peers.
Since you have such a unique job, can you go a little bit more in depth of your AIT? How was it for your time? How much is it? Was it book smarts, on the job training? What certification or license did you get from the AIT portions?
Oh, yep.
Do you do any field training?
Yeah. So as of right now, if you were to switch over and be a 15 Yankee, right now they don't have an FTX or a field training exercise at the end of it. Some years they have it, some years they don't. We debated this is also when I was an instructor there. We debated whether or not it really had any value to it at the time, because the facilities there are just they're not meant for that. They're meant for everything else. But as far as your day, depends on there's 3 shifts that you can possibly go to if you go into aviation. You can be, they'll call them a day hawk, or a day hawk, a night hawk, and a night owl. So the instructing is going 24 hours a day. You won't be in class 24 hours a day, but you're going to wake up, you're going to do PT right around 6:30 in the morning. Then you're going to go quick shower and everything else. Drill sergeants are going to march you over to the chow hall, which isn't that far away. Then you're going to go, after you get done with that, you're going to hop on a bus, for a Yankee, because there's different MOSs, there's different skill sets, different jobs, but our hangar is way off by itself because we've got a lot of stuff. But we would sit there and you'd get in, you go eat. After you eat, you'd march over to school for the first couple of years, or for the first couple months, which you're going to get your FAST training, which is Ford Aviation Skills Training. We rewrote that program about 3 years ago. So that's where you're going to learn your how to do your write-ups, how to do the paperwork that goes with the job. Best way to describe it. Then after that, you'll switch over into basic electronic theory, and that is going to give you basics of how electricity works and aspects of your job. And you're also going to work on making taking wires and running them in wire bundles and wiring everything up, and how to use the multimeter and oscilloscope and everything else you got with that. After that first 2 months, then you're going to go out, and that's when you're going to learn the actual the actual Apaches. So you're going to go out there and you're going to see the actual trainers we have out there with real aircraft. So you go out there and you meet the new instructors that are going to be out there teaching you, and they're going to show you how to work on the aircraft and how to troubleshoot the aircraft, the gun, the radar system, and everything else out of that. I even did it when I was there. They got a program that when you're there, you can civilian certifications. Sometimes they're going to call you got to come out of pocket for some of them. We're working on a program right now that'll allow you to get reimbursed by the Army for your certifications, which we actually have set up so you can get your airframe and power plant, which is usually harder for 15 Yankees because we're more on the electronic side. However, I did get my FCC radar endorsement license there, and I am air conditioning certified as well. I'm currently working on my airframe and power plant, which it will allow you to work in any aviation unit. And if you get that one, you actually bump the amount of money you're going to make when you get out. So instead of making $28 an hour, you'll make close to $38 an hour. They look for that when they're hiring outside the Army.
So remember,
those are the majority of the certifications you can get.
Question: are you familiar with the new program called the COOLS program through the Army?
The credentialing program that they have?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're talking about?
Correct.
Yes. So the credentialing program, that's the program that we're trying to get. We were trying to get it set up. We were the pilot people for it. So the only reason it's a problem in aviation is you have to, and it's not a problem, you have to have somebody sign off on you getting everything going. So you have to have somebody sign off on, yes, he knows how to repair sheet metal. Yes, he knows how to repair an engine, or she knows how to repair an engine. So it's not as simple as it is for somebody who is 88 Mike or a truck driver or any of the credentialing that goes with that.
Okay,
because we are
cover the cost.
We are nationally and regionally accredited.
Nice.
Oh, so they will pay for your first test. They'll pay for your first test. After they pay for your first test, then if you fail that test, they aren't paying for it again. So, but you've got a hands-on, oral, and practical that you have to be able to, or written that you have to be able to take to get your A&P license, which you can get it done. You can get it done real quick. So once you get in and you're looking at your accreditation with that, we've got tons of guys and girls that know how to set people up to do that program right.
Awesome.
So
awesome. Fabulous.
You will get credentialed.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So, I mean, then AIT, is there anything at the end of the AIT? Is there a final project that you have to make work?
So we have what is called, and the kind of, as I said, the last week they kind of call it your FTX, your field training exercise, but that is actually open-ended usually for the instructor. There's certain criteria we have to do, but this is where the instructor can sit there and go, okay, giving you the basics, now I'm going to watch you apply it. And that's when we're going to sit there, and what we like to do is we try to run a FARP, which is a forward armament refuel point, which if you're an armament dog, which is what 15 Yankees are, they call us armament dogs. That's our bread and butter. We rearm, we run the rearm and refuel pads while deployed or anything else. So we try to get it down to where you can load 300 rounds of 30 millimeter, and you can run 19 rockets and 4 Hellfires. If you can get that loaded up in about 15 minutes, you're doing pretty good, including gas. So you got to figure we can fully arm up. Some Yankees will sit there and there's no way you can do it that fast. Well, you just haven't tried hard enough.
Is that by one person or 2 people?
It's relatively.
What does the team?
Oh no, you'll have a team. So you got a person. So the team will have one. You'll have one pad chief. The pad chief will sit there, and usually an NCO. After a couple farts, I'll send one of my high-speed specialists out there to run it, and we try to have a team of 3 to 4 people. So one pad chief and 2 soldiers going loading the aircraft on top of the fuelers that we'll have there as well.
Okay. Very interesting. And then once you were done AIT, you were awarded your MOS. That's your job, your identifier, and then you went to Fort Hood, Texas. Is that correct?
Then I went to Fort Hood, Texas, and it was good. What'd you say?
So, hey, everybody, just to let you know, the screen might be a little stagnant or it might be coming in blurry. He's in Alaska right now, and they had a small storm, so the Wi-Fi might not be working as top as it could be. So please excuse the bad connection. But I want to take this time, if you have a question about AIT, basic, or this job so far, leave your live comment down and we'll answer it. So back to what you were saying, or I was asking you, is as soon as you graduated from basic training and then AIT, you were what rank were you? And then you went to Fort Hood, Texas?
I was a private first class, and I went to Fort Hood. And that is when we stood up the new unit, which was 4227 and is now 717 Cab Combat Aviation Brigade, so, or battalion. So that is that was the unit I was identified to go to, and we got there. We did a lot of training. I mean, a lot of training. That's one thing that people would not expect that you do in aviation. You go to the field all the time.
Okay, so I have a question from our later in the week. This was done by Valerie. Her question is, at a duty station, how many helicopters, we call them birds most of the time, how many helicopters are stationed at any given location?
Oh, okay. So, well, that is going to, that is completely situational. Completely situational. If you have a full brigade there, which we do not have a full brigade right now, we are split. Alaska, we're split between Hawaii and Alaska. But if you're at Fort Hood and there's only one brigade there, you'll have 2 Apache battalions, Black Hawk battalion, and a so you're at one battalion of Apaches is usually 3 companies of 8, so you got 24 Apache helicopters. Much enough to wipe out any place you want to wipe out if you need to do it.
How much does
a lot of firepower.
Your cost?
Oh, so that depends. You're looking anywhere from now with the Echo models, which are cheaper, right around 32 million, to right around 36 to 40 million. Depends on what configuration you have on it.
And that's just the bird. That's not all the ammo and everything else.
Oh yeah, that's so shock factor when you first come in as an aviator, especially with us, is how much parts cost.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, I dropped a part, dropped it. I mean, I hit my head on the wing because I was moving too fast, and I dropped a part. And it was an $80,000 part.
80 or
80. So, and so that's the aspect that is crazy. So aviation expensive, Apaches ridiculously expensive. So to the point where one of our rotor blades is the same cost as almost all 4 rotor blades on a Black Hawk with the main rotor head, which is what holds the rotor blades to the actual aircraft.
Wow.
So,
that's insane.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Well, since we're talking about, I got another question from earlier on the week. I don't want to bounce around too much, but do you name your helicopters? This is from named JD. He asked if do you guys spray paint the name? Do you guys make names for the helicopters like they do on the tanks?
So what we'll do is they have tail numbers. So we usually go by tail numbers because there's so many of them out there that we got. Now the crew chiefs, sometimes they'll name them. They'll spray paint the name. But one of our actual things that we love to do is the crew chiefs to take pride and ownership of their equipment. This way it motivates them to work a little bit better because their name's on it. We spray paint the crew chief's name right on the side of the helicopter.
So the pilot it's the team that works on the bird.
The team, yep, the team that works on the bird, the owner of the aircraft. They're the ones that we look at it. If you're a Romeo and you went to the line company right off the bat, you could be a PFC and your name's going to be on the side of that Apache. Nice. So it depends on the unit though. Mm-hmm. All this is subject to the commander's approval. So as you can tell, Army is always subject to commander's approval.
So I have a question. Does the pilots, do they rotate the birds? No, the reason why I asked this is because if they're stationed there for so long, are they assigned one specific helicopter their duration, or do they hop around to different birds? Because I know sometimes they'll be down for maintenance and whatever.
Oh yeah, no, the pilots, they will jump. They will jump. I mean, they will jump from aircraft to aircraft all the time. They don't have a specifically assigned aircraft. You'll have, like, we'll get ready to go launch aircraft, which is they're getting ready to go fly, and they'll run out there and the aircraft doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. And if the aircraft doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, they aren't going to fly it. We can't just pull off to the side of the road and hope you're putting every bit of work you do is somebody's life is on the line. If you mess up, they're going to fall out of the sky, and you just killed some friends. So what we actually do is the pilots will come in. We have a flow chart, is what we call it, because every 500 hours we have to completely tear the entire aircraft down, take every box, every part, everything off of it, and then we build it back up. 500 hours. There's more inspections in between there. There's different frequencies that we have them, and then when the pilots go out there, they'll be assigned. We got to keep a flow chart because you can't have all aircraft needing a 500-hour inspection at that time. So you got to balance it out so that you only get one of those inspections, which takes a month to do. You got to make sure. So you got to fly the hours the right way. So you got to track hours, and for somebody coming in, they aren't going to know that right off the bat. As a matter of fact, some people who are in 8 years, they still can't figure it out. But you schedule your maintenance as much as possible, and then if it breaks, the pilot will go to another aircraft.
Okay. So so let me back up. So your PFC, you got pushed to Fort Hood, Texas. What were some of at that level, because the more rank you go, the job changes a little bit because of your responsibilities, and the description of the job might change to more of administrator versus hands-on technician or maintainer, like you said. Can you describe in your younger ranking years some of the jobs, and can you kind of go a little bit in detail of what you would do on a day-to-day basis?
So aviation's kind of fickle. If the aircraft are not up, like if we have an operational readiness rating, and Apaches are tracked at the Department of the Army level. So your aircraft will be up. You will have at least 75% of your aircraft able to fly, or you're not getting a weekend. You're going to work some long hours. That's the way it is. But as a maintainer, back when I first came in, we came in, and you go in the day. They have a production control meeting, which is all your bosses go, and they figure out what the priorities of work are for the day and the flight schedule that they have for the day. So you're there to do all the regular maintenance, the scheduled maintenance. So that could be as simple as going out and cleaning the gun off. Or once you become good at scheduled maintenance, that is when they're going to put you on unscheduled maintenance. And that's honestly the bread and butter of what keeps you doing this job, because pilot will come in saying it's doing this when it's supposed to do that. And you go out there, sometimes it's as simple as, sir, you forgot to turn it on. And that's kind of rewarding when you look at them. It's like, because they'll sit there and be like, oh, I'm a great pilot. I'm a great pilot. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you forgot to turn that on, bud. You might want to try that again and not let anybody know that was a problem.
So 30 million airplane, you should fly it.
Yeah. So that aspect of it is pretty rewarding. You get to go out there and do that. On top of that, you'll also train. You'll train for downed aircraft recovery team, or a DART team. And so that instance, if an aircraft goes down outside the wire or crashes, you train to go recover that aircraft, or try to fix that aircraft as quick as possible to get it back to the station. While I've done quite a few of them, my first deployment was a realistic one. That one was not a fun one. We lost 2 pilots on that one. Captain Resch and Mr. Chow, that was a pretty bad one on my first deployment, and I did not like having to go out there and get them. But
okay.
It's fun.
Yeah, there's some tough things that we have to do in all of our MOSs, because again, we are the Army. We are out there to defend our country. And things happen. Sometimes we have training accidents here in the States. There was a really bad one at Fort Polk, Louisiana. We lost a couple people, and we had to do the same thing. But thankfully, we weren't on the combat zone, so we had more time for the investigators to figure out the problem. But the sad part is we did lose two people out of the incident. All right, so Very few people have I ran into that stayed at a duty station for so long. 11 years at Fort Hood. That is crazy. Was
Yes.
that because you wanted or the luck of the draw? Like, I called up pretty much every 2 years to be like, get me out of here. I want to go see the world. I mean, you're stuck at Fort Hood.
We were deployment centric. So you had we got on the rotation. We went on our first deployment. That deployment, we ended up that cost me my first marriage. I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but honestly, I'm doing a lot better now. Love the wife I have, and love the kids I have. But we had that one we got. It was only supposed to be a year, and then we bumped out to 15-month deployment. Came back, and we only had 9 months to a year in between deployments. It was deployment after deployment after deployment after deployment, while the rest of the Army was getting a year and a half, 2 years off in between deployments. Aviation is there's so few of us that you're going to deploy you deploy all the time. So that's a sad reality of the job, but deployments aren't that bad.
Deployments are moneymaker. I don't know what.
Well, heck yeah, I love it. You come back
money.
All in. The problem is everybody comes back thinking, oh yeah, I got all this money. I'm going to go drop 40 grand on this car over here. And it's like, okay, how are you going to pay for the insurance, buddy? There you go.
Yeah. Put it in the stock market, save it, do something.
That's speaking of stocks right now.
You're doing great.
Yeah, I'm going up on it. So, but you go on deployment and then you come back. And my first reenlistment that I did, which is after 6 years, aviation is usually 6-year contract. So after 6 years, I reenlisted to stay at Fort Hood because I liked it. And
because she's a nurse, right?
Yeah. So the only problem I ran into with that is I kind of shot myself in the foot because I reenlisted for stabilization to stay there. Well, stabilization is only at the time it only counted when your unit wasn't under lockdown, and they would lock us down 2 months after we got back from deployment because we're ramping up to go on another deployment. So I had a year stabilization, but I had only 2 months after each deployment that they counted it. So you get back, and Sergeant Major's like, I can't afford to lose any more people. The Colonel's like, I can't afford to lose any more people. We're getting ready for another deployment. We're going to go with this. So I had the same group of guys with me close to 11 years.
Well, I mean, there's plus sides. I mean, you have a great crew. You know, you know, everybody knows you. You know how to work as a team, either at garrison, at home, or downrange. They're reliable. You're cohesive.
You learn the ups and downs. You learn to fight with a few of them, and then a year later, you guys are best friends again. So it happens.
Well, being in there at Fort Hood for so long, I got some crazy stories being stationed at Fort Hood, but I won't go there. Crazy. Yeah. Did you eventually buy a house there since you were there for so long?
Yeah. So I used the VA loan, and they'll approve you up to $400,000 and some for the VA loan, which gave me percentages. It gave me better percentages on it. I bought the house. Currently, right now, I still own the house. I rent it out. I make money on the house, but at the same time, it's not enough to like, hey, I'm living lavishly. It's enough to really negate the cost of whatever the tenants are going to do at the time to the house. So it's sustainable, and I might sell it soon. I don't think I'm going to go back to live in it, but at the same time, I'm okay with people just renting it out, collecting the check from it too. So you can use your BAH. You can use your BAH while you're stationed there to pay off your house. Otherwise, if you're getting BAH and you're just renting a house, you're giving the money to somebody else. That's the way I thought. That's the way I thought about it. Some people didn't. I know some buddies who bought a duplex or a fourplex down there with it, and well, they did really good.
So BAH is basic housing allowance for anybody who's wondering what that acronym meant. With a VA loan, what's so great about the VA loan is that you don't have to put 20% down when you're looking at houses. With the VA loan, you just start making monthly payments as long as you buy a house within that requirement of, you said what, 400,000?
You can get up to four. Well, it depends. When I was looking at it, you get 400 to 450,000. I didn't spend that
Well,
much.
yeah, it depends on your credit score too.
Yes.
So, but that's a great. So if I was going to look for a house in California, I don't have to spend, or I don't have to save 20% on whatever it is. I just go and, you know, do my research. So it's great. One of the benefits about being a soldier, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, it's one of the, no, it's one of the multiple benefits. And what other people don't understand is that everybody thinks you can only use it. Everybody thinks you can only use it once.
Nope.
That's not the case. You can use it up to certain amounts. It's a lot of that. You actually use that. You need to talk to the specialist. Like we have, that's the other aspect of it. We have specialists that are designed to help you out with your money.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have a lot of options available to you. So that aspect.
So you have a house. You re-enlisted. Did you get a bonus when you re-enlist?
Oh yes. So I didn't re-enlist. I didn't re-enlist at the good time. So I don't even want to talk about my last re-enlistment. That one irritated me. That was, yeah. I re-enlisted for $4,000, and then if I would have waited freaking 5 months, I missed out on a $30,000 bonus. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I was not happy.
What?
Yeah, that was right before the election. I should have waited till after, but oh well.
Bummer.
I don't want to get politics. But
so a side note for our viewers, if they're watching this too, if you re-enlist while you're in a combat zone, it is tax-free money.
yeah.
So that's more money in your pocket. I did the same thing. I'm like, I ain't staying, or I'm gonna wait. And they had a cash bonus. I'm like, nah.
Well, you could. The other aspect of it, the other aspect that people did when this is what we did when we were there is after when you go back deployment back to back, you end up getting what is called, I can't remember the name of the leave, but it's an extra type of leave you get, and during that time, when you're on that leave, that leave is also tax free. I've also watched people.
You're talking about mid-tour leave?
No, that's R&R. This is, so if you go on deployment and then within another year you go on another deployment, you'll get close to 14 days of extra leave. And so during that time, that leave you take is not taxable. So I have watched a couple people re-enlist on that time.
Nice.
So you just don't get the kicker. So.
All right. So have you done any schooling since you've been in?
So after you get in and you realize you didn't want to do school, then all of a sudden you realize you want to progress through your career. That's when you realize you still need to do school. So I've done a lot of Army schools, and then at the same time, I am currently working on finishing up my bachelor's in electrical engineering. So it's a lot of fun. Hopefully, I can get out I'll get out with my bachelor's in electrical engineering. It does not come out of my my GI Bill or any of my college that I signed up and enlisted for. Mm-hmm. The Army allots you so much, each soldier so much every year to go to school while you're in. Mm-hmm. So you, in theory, if you strap down and do it on your free time, you can get your entire college paid for before you get out, and then you transfer your GI Bill and your schooling to your kids, like I did. So my kids, when I get out, or if I wanted to give it to my wife, they can use my GI Bill and my extra money for college for them. So both of them should be able to get a 4-year degree paid for.
Nice.
If that's what they choose when they get there.
So for our viewers, what he's referencing is tuition assistance, called TA in the Army. You get $4,500 a year to pay for your books. That's quite a lot. And from my time, I've only met very few people who can max out, because that's pretty much a full class load. And I only take 1, maybe 2 classes at a time if I'm lucky. But I'd usually do a class, wait a couple months, do another class, wait a couple. So I'm working on finishing my degree too. No money in my pocket. So, and then he was referring to that giving his Montgomery GI Bill and his post 9/11 bill, one or the other, to his kids. Now, if you stay in the Army for 10 years or more, you get that option. You can't just do 1 or 2 contracts and do that. You have to stay in for the 10-year mark to do that. That's very impressive. And again, it wouldn't surprise me. You're a very smart man to do that. So other than, so you did back-to-back deployments, which sucks, but I mean, you got your piggy bank's pretty full right now.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your job as a lower enlisted? Because this is what soldiers are going to do when they first come in. Not necessarily where you're at now, because I know you're a platoon sergeant. You got a lot of soldiers you got to watch over, but more of like an entry-level job, the ins and outs, the good and the bad.
So when you're going to show up to a unit, you're going to be a new guy. In aviation, but we're called armament dogs for a reason, and we like to mess with each other. So if you don't have thick skin around us, oh man, you're gonna get eaten alive. We joke with each other. We kind of take it pretty rough on each other sometimes, but it is an unbelievable brother sisterhood that is some of the most close knit group of people I've ever met. But you're gonna show up to work, as I said, at 9. After you're gonna do PT in the morning. After you do PT or physical training, you're gonna do whatever they want you to, well, as a platoon sergeant, whatever I decide you're gonna do that day. So you're gonna go out there and run. Yep. So you're gonna do PT. Sometimes we do sports PT every now and then. Army's starting to frown upon that because people get injured doing it because everybody's too competitive. My knee's killing me for that reason. But we go out, and after we get in 9 o'clock in the morning, you come in. You're gonna sit around and wait for your NCOs to come back, and that's when they're gonna tell you what you're gonna do for the day. Some of it you're not gonna like. If you're the person who's not motivated to actually work and learn, I'm gonna send you down to the motor pool, which is where all of our vehicles are at, and you're going to scrub the motor pool. You're gonna work on a Humvee.
What is a motor pool?
Motor pool is where it's the collection of the battalion's assets when it comes to our vehicles to get us to and from the field or wherever we're gonna go. So you have your Humvees, which are where the Hummer took its stuff from. Then you got your LMTVs, which are a bigger truck that you're gonna do. We've got all sorts of different actual vehicles, and so you've got to get in there. And everybody thinks that the mechanic is the one that's going to fix everything, and mechanic's just you're going to fill out your forms with it, and the mechanic's going to go, that's a user level, you need to fix it. Anybody who's been around a motor pool can tell you that they're real good at that. If you don't, oh yeah, and then after you get done with that, you're going to clean. Like, you are going to master the custodial arts. You are going
area beautification.
Area beautification, you're going to clean, you're going to do, then post will send down area cleanup. You'll put on a road guard vest and you'll walk around picking up trash on base. So if you don't want to be that guy, do what we're telling you to do. Otherwise, I'm going to use you in other avenues, because there's no shortage of jobs that you have to do, that we have to send people to do it. So you could be a gate guard, checking people's IDs the moment they come in the gate. You could be
uniform.
You could be mowing. Oh yeah, and you could be mowing grass. You could be cleaning. You're gonna end up cleaning latrines. That happens everywhere you go. You're gonna clean bathrooms. Make ready so you don't have to do as much.
A really fulfilling job, or you could be a dirtbag and get all the extra details and unpleasantly. So you really can make what the job is based on your work ethic.
Yes.
So
if you show up in the right place, the right time, the right uniform, and then everybody always skips the right attitude, you need the right attitude. So the way we work with it, I would tell all my guys that came in and everything, it's if you show up willing to learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you show up willing to learn, I will teach you everything in my power. You can even be a slow learner. I'm going to work with you. If you show up not wanting to work, or bad attitude, or the Army isn't what I thought it is, well, it's going to get worse for you, because we're going to send you to do the stuff we don't want you to do, or we don't want to do. I've done it, but you'll still do.
So I I have a question from Josh.
Yes.
He's asking, what are some of the misconceptions of your job?
Misconceptions of my job. Everybody thinks that you're going to get in and all you're going to do is work on aircraft the entire time. No, you're going to want to do that, but if you aren't, as I've been saying, if you aren't actively trying, you're going to get pulled for all the other jobs. You're just not going to happen, and it's not a bad thing though either, because the Army is not about you just being good at your job. They want well-rounded soldiers. They want somebody who can do good things when it comes to that. A lot of things that people think, the other misconception, everybody thinks that because you're an armament dog, you're going to get in the front seat, you're going to fly, and you're going to shoot the gun. No, only pilots fly, only pilots will pull the trigger. You'll get to dry fire it to make sure it's working, but you're not going to actually pull the trigger and send lead down range.
Okay. And then to follow with that question from Ashley, she asks, what is the best thing about your job, and what are some of the downsides other than what we just discussed?
So best part about my job is we work on the sighting system as well, and that's the TADS, and we get video feedback from us saving American lives. Like when you see the Apache engagement videos, those are usually us saving other soldiers. That aspect of it is awesome. I get to go to some really cool locations. Like right up here in Alaska, we do our FARP as we discussed earlier, Fort Arm Refuel Point. Mm-hmm. It's up on a mountain. I mean, you can look down. You look down, and if it's a good clear day, you can see Denali off in the distance. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Wow.
Downsides of my job: it is kind of a thankless job. You are expected to do a lot. They will not go, "Hey, great job." They aren't going to do that. They're going to say, "Get to work, do the job, and if you did well, you aren't going to get yelled at." They expect a lot out of you. You're not the person who's over there working on this other stuff. You're expected to be the smart one. The other aspect of it, they want the answers right now. They always want the answers right now. They're supposed to. They want you to be able to go out there and go, it's making this weird noise, and you know exactly what it is and have it fixed in 10 minutes. And it's just not that way. It takes time, and so that aspect of it, kind of hard, and you do work long days. Mm-hmm. Before my first deployment, we were working 16-hour days before we deployed. Ouch. And then we went on deployment, and you got 1 day off every 14 days if you're lucky. And you're working 12-hour shifts the entire time. So you show up, work, and then that deployment, I didn't see the first 6 months. I didn't even see the inside of a defect. I didn't see the place where we even ate at, because my NCO would be like, I'm come back from fixing aircraft. He's like, great, here's food. Get back out there, do it again. Another aircraft.
Bummer.
Long days.
Yep. But hey, sometimes, I mean, to me, it's worth it because you're saving lives. Too, you're doing the job that you picked to do. So, I mean, it's not like I'm filling sandbags all day, walking 100 miles like the infantry does.
Yeah.
Infantry, you know. But you mentioned earlier about the E model. What's the difference between the E model and the other models?
So the Echo model is now the Guardian model. It actually, I mean, we had it under their Delta model. We can still do the same things. For purposes of, like, there's a lot of differerences, but for the average civilian, it's a lighter aircraft. We've got better rotor blades, which allow us to have better lift capabilities. We've gotten rid of a lot of the wiring that is in it, and on top of it, it communicates with UAVs. So you can send a UAV over that mountain over there, be a couple miles back. The UAV is way up in the sky. The people don't see it, and you launch a Hellfire missile from miles back, and they're the one that is lasing your target for you. So,
oh wow,
so you
cool.
Shoot it off, let somebody else laze it for you, and people don't even know what hit them, or
that is awesome.
Equipment doesn't know what hit them. And I know that sounds a little bit morbid to say it that way, but we're not in the business of being nice. We're kind of let down range. That's our job.
Yeah. So, how much family time do you have? Because you're saying these long hours, but really, how much family time do you have?
If you ask my wife, not enough ever. But you get free time.
Mm.
And that's what you have to. It's a life work balance. You have to actually. You have to get yourself. You'll get a lot. You'll get some free time. But if you're ramping up for deployment, something else like that, you're not going to get too much free time.
Okay.
But you're only going to work like your average day, 6:30 PT, and then you should be by 1600 or 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 p.m. You should be done with the day if everybody's doing the right thing. So you got from 4 to 5 p.m. till 6:30 in the morning to do whatever you want. I would recommend getting some sleep during that time. However, some people choose not to. So it's like working a job except for you got PT in the morning. That's really about it.
And then you still have time to do hobbies. What are some of your hobbies? I hear that you're baiting for bears to hunt in Alaska.
Yeah, so we went out last night. I got off work and then I ran with my buddy and we went out to go check his bear baiting station, which had bears on it, and he shot at one. Don't think he did. How he missed it 10 yards away, but
well, broke guys out there in the cold.
Oh yeah, so we went out there. It's probably an hour drive out to where we're bear baiting, and then another 45 minutes on a quad, and then doing the same thing coming back. So I got back home at probably 10:30, 11 o'clock last night. So
there's that concept. If you can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can have a lot of fun. It's just how you use your free time. So a lot of my hobbies, I have my Harley Davidson. I love riding my bike, which I don't get too much time up here during winter's long, but we're close to 24 hours of daylight, so you can ride. Right now is the time to go out and do everything. You can do a lot of fun. Last year I went on the caribou hunt, got a good caribou. I went and got a big moose last year. Dip netting is starting back up where we go catch salmon, and that aspect of it is cool because a lot of the states, when it comes to hunting and fishing, they'll give you the residency rate and you can use the residency. So after a year here in Alaska, I could dip net, which everybody's like, what's dip netting? It's you take a big net and put it in the river and pull out a bunch of fish. And for my family of 4, I'm allowed 55 salmon plus 1 king salmon. So I've got salmon for days, and to the point where I look at my Joes that they're like, Sergeant, we're running low on food, and it's like, hey, here, take 60 pounds of salmon for your family. Go ahead, have some fun. So that is a lot of fun.
I'll give you my address. I would love to have some salmon.
Well, shipping down to lower 48, expensive. I've tried it. I had my family looking at it. It's expensive down there.
Oh, bummer.
But it's fun.
I hear great things about Alaska. A little too cold for me, but all right.
It's about to be 80. It's about to be 80 degrees here. This place gets hot.
Wow.
With no AC.
So what are you going to do when because I'm assuming you're going to stay for the full 20, because you just mentioned that you're about 35, 36?
Yep.
And you're going to retire at 40? So that's 4 years down the road?
Yes. And then
home stretch?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, and it's nice because aviation is a very small, very, very small network, and so everybody here we kind of look out for each other. So if you're a good guy, we're going to take care of you. If you're a bad guy, chances are you're not going to go too far. But cool part is you always get a chance after going to a new unit. You get a chance to reset yourself and see how if you adapt or get better. But I'm set up I can get a couple jobs doing different things. I will not have to. I'm not saying I won't have to look for jobs, but I've got it set up pretty good where I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to get hired at any one of them, but I could go look at Boeing and I could go look at Lockheed Martin and make some decent money coming out of it, or I can do civilian version of our job, which a lot of people do that. The ones who just get right out and are during the initial deployment, the first couple of years of deployment, people are making 450,000 tax-free a year being deployed and doing that. So if you want to go to Saudi Arabia or something else like that, you can make a lot of money doing that. Or you can pick the job you want. A lot of people you don't have to stay in aviation. I had a buddy who got out and he works in natural gas, and they really wanted him. There's another buddy who got out and he worked, because what we do is we troubleshoot. So we see a problem, we find a way to fix it. And so he would go work on your CAT scan machines. So he can live anywhere he wants as long as he is 30 minutes away from an airport. So he can fly all over the United States wherever there's a CAT scan place and goes and fixes it. So you learn to network while you're in, and there are very good job opportunities. I think the worst one I've ever seen one of my buddies get out and do was he went out and worked, and he stayed down in Texas, and he was making $38 an hour, which if you're in Texas, $38 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. So, okay, yes. I have a question for you. Being in this job for so long, and you've only moved twice. You had the Fort Hood, Texas. You had the NCO Academy as a teacher, and now you are a platoon sergeant here in Alaska. For being in your job for so long, what keeps you coming back? What makes you put your uniform on, your boots, and do this job day in and day out with your long hours?
Well, there's a lot of things that do that. Honestly, it's the guys to my left and right, and the Joes. I look at my soldiers that I had and everything else, and they drive me to do better with myself and continue to help them progress in their career. At the same token, I'm 3.5 years from retirement, and if I were to tell you that that's not a motivating factor, you're crazy, because 3.5 years to retirement for that.
A pension for the rest of your life.
Pension for the rest of my life, medical taken care of. I don't have to worry about getting a medical anything. I don't have to pay out for if I don't not covered by medical. So the rest of my life I'm going to be taken care of. And then on top of that, I don't have to buy into any other company's medical programs if I don't want to. So all that money that most people spend on their regular paychecks going to this and going to that, I'm taken care of. I can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I get out after 20 years, which is a little different, it's a little different for people coming in now. Retirement's a little different.
Yep.
But for me, I'm going to get out after 20 years. I'm going to make half my pay that I'm making now and be working a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly, and I've invested while I've been in. I've done the thrift savings program, which is a program available to the Joes, which actually is like, you can put into an IRA and the thrift savings program Roth, so you can have 2 retirement pensions going at the same time. So
nice.
Pretty nice.
It is great programs. The Army, for all the heartache it does, it still gives you a immensely boost from trying to make it with minimum wage or just try to figure out life. It's a great stepping stone to grow and see where you're at. Get out with some job experience and some certificates or some license. And it's just a great step. Even if you just do one contract, it helps. It opens up your eyes. Travel. I've traveled all over the world. And it's rewarding. It is what you make of it.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, Sergeant Momber, it is concluding to our hour. We've talked about your extraordinary career and things that you've done, how you viewed it, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. You have a extraordinary career. One last question. How many kids do you have?
2. I'm not having any more. Taking care of that. No.
So I thank your wife and your 2 kids for your time, because your time is very precious. You're stepping away from your family to talk to us about your job. And I appreciate it immensely, because if I looked at your job, I would never guess of all the work that entails to your job. You have to be smart. You have to be motivated, and you got to keep wanting to do the job that you do. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for everything you've done. The Paso Robles Army Recruiting Stations, thank you for your time. Our station commander, Sergeant Green, is the one who hooked us up so we could do this interview. Awesome choice. I'm very thankful for your time. Is there anybody that you would like to do a shout out for before we end the segment?
No, love you, baby.
Watching it. Yay! All right, I appreciate it, Armamba.
No problem.
For everybody else, drop down your comments. We will look at this stream, even if it's not live. We will get back to your comments if you do leave one behind. If you are rewatching this video, go ahead and put hashtag rewatch. If you're watching it live, go ahead and put hashtag live. And you guys, be safe out there, be smart, and if you have a question, all you have to do is ask. Technology is at our fingertips, and this is what we do for our jobs. We're here to mentor and educate. So if you have a question, feel free to, again, my phone number and contact information is on the description, but I'm just going to say it for you guys. You can reach me on my government cell at 805-904-8972. Our office number down in California, beautiful sunny California, not that cold climby area in Alaska, is 805-226-0207. And if you like to email me, it's shelly.j.anderson.mill@mail.mil. Very long. Again, it's in the description. More than welcome to hit us up. If you have a question for Staff Sergeant Momber, please, direct it to him, or one of us will comment on the post, and no question is a dumb question, you guys. Thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned for next Tuesday from 4 to 5 for the next Soldier of the Hour. We're going to talk about another extraordinary MOS. Sergeant, thanks again. I appreciate it. Tell your kids and wife, thank you so much for your time. Stay safe, stay strong, and do great things. Bye, you guys.
Take care. Bye.